What up, though? This is Knockouts in 3 Counts. But before we bring you another episode of Podcast Gold, let me tell you about the homies over at Michigan's Finest. Do you ever find yourself trying to get yourself together and thinking, man, this is going to be a great night, but I'm looking for that little extra something? Well, check out our friends at Michigan Finest. If you are into medical marijuana, recreational marijuana, concentrates, vapes, anything of that sort, Michigan's Finest has got you covered. And as you can see here, it's all easily done by their website. It's all curbside, and you'll be in and out in 2 minutes. And they're family owned and operated, so customer service is their number one goal. And now, since they are rocking with Knockouts in 3 Counts, use the code KO3MF. Yes, that's KO3MF. You get 10% off your entire order, but that does exclude featured items and items that are already on sale. But if you use that code, you're getting 10% off your items, and I promise you, either if you're looking for that big knockout or you're ready to hit the sheets for that 3 count, Michigan's Finest will get you together. Tell them Knockouts in 3 Counts sent you, and I promise you, you're going to be having a great night. Peace.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts in 3 Counts.
Cover! We got it, the new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts in 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts in 3 Counts starts now.
Whoa, what up, though? It is another Tuesday. I have survived another day at the mail before Thanksgiving because, shit's about to go crazy after that. But somebody else who's about to get crazy this week, we've got Joey, the Mexicutioner, Beltran, before him and Houston Alexander lock it up at BKFC 33. How you doing, brother, man?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, appreciate the time.
Yeah, greatly appreciate the time on this one.
All good, all good.
Hell yeah, man. Well, it's a role reversal. We were talking about that before we hit the button because, the last time we had your wife, BKFC champion Britain Hart Beltran on with us. You were having to listen to the dumb shit we come up with. Now you got the role reversal, bro. So hopefully we can make it a good time for you as well, man.
Sounds good, man. I'm up for it.
Hey, man, how are you feeling heading into this fight, man? Because, it's a hell of a fight for you to have coming in this one because I was, again, like we were talking about before we hit the button, I was watching your interview with John Morgan, and I heard you talk about how you're going to be fighting at cruiserweight this time as opposed to heavyweight, and you're going to mix it up again with Houston Alexander. So how are you feeling about the matchup, and how are you feeling about the weight change?
All right. Well, I feel great about this matchup. I'm super confident, and I don't feel I'm entitled to anything by any means, but I know that I've worked and I've earned the right to simply walk in there and take what's mine. So that's what I plan on doing. And as far as the weight cut, it was no big deal, man. It's just a matter of implementing a little bit of discipline. And shout out to my meal prep sponsor, the Healthy Kitchen Miami. And they made it super easy. They literally labeled the boxes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I just ate them.
That's the way to do it, man. I need that.
I know, bro. You can't have it much easier than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as that food in them boxes are tasting good, that's all that matters, man.
It really was. It really was.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective going into this because, like he had just mentioned a couple minutes back, we had your wife on last time, and she was talking about making that weight cut going into this fight being her first time back at 115 under the BKFC banner. And now I learn you guys are both kind of in this weight cut game together. Does it change anything now that she went through it just a couple months ago? Now here you are kind of doing the same thing. I know to your point, I had seen where you said it wasn't a huge deal. You just kind of had to cut out a little bit of the small things and stuff, but still it brings back the mental game, the focus to want to do those small things to kind of improve the game,
Absolutely. If anything, it was more of a, for lack of better terms, more of a service to myself. It really got me locked in. Like every day I knew I was getting ready for the fight because every day I was eating right. Every day I was making those little sacrifices. staying away from the candy, staying away from fast food, you know. And so, I mean, it really, like I said, it just had me in the mindset the whole last 2 months. And as far as when Britain went through it, same thing. We have the same meal prep sponsor. So I watched her and how successful it was with her nutrition. So it's like a open shut case with having the Healthy Kitchen Miami do my meals for me, and so it was awesome, man. And Britain even did because it was a keto program.
Okay.
She even did it right alongside of me. With the whole last 8 weeks, we've been doing the same meal prep together. So, she's literally walking hand in hand with me going through this process. So it was pretty cool.
It's got to be interesting to have somebody in the same career field, right? Like sometimes you'll hear people, fighters and stuff that get married and stuff, but when it's the BKFC route and then hand in hand for weight, the weight cut and stuff like that, it seems like you guys are really aligned in a lot of the moves you guys are making, both career and out of the ring.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's really like, that old cliche, like if you're going to be a fighter, it's a lonely road. That can be very true. But I'm fortunate enough that, I have somebody that I will gladly walk side by side in the battle with any day. And, that's not that I advocate, but that's on the street, that's in the ring. It don't matter. Like, right. I know I got somebody that's got my back. So that's cool. That's very, very cool. And yeah, like it's just, to touch again on the whole diet thing, like it was super easy because like I actually researched this company and I found them and as a sponsor for Britain. I think it was back in the Beck fight, so like 2 fights ago. So they've been with us for now. This is our 3rd or 4th training camp that they've been supporting us. So it's really cool to build a lasting relationship with that company. And since Miami is like our second home, we lived here. For almost 2 years, and then we moved back to Virginia, and then right when we moved back, we were in our house in Virginia for about 2 weeks, and then Britt got the call for the title fight, so we had to come back and Airbnb it up. So, it's really cool.
Well, talking about that leads into something I wanted to ask you about too. I've been following your career for a long time. As anyone that follows our show knows, we cover not only pro wrestling, but obviously all facets of combat sports. I mean, I followed you all through the UFC and Bellator and all those things. So, we just had Toby Misek on, who will be fighting for BYB Extreme this weekend. And something he talked about coming out of Bellator was like the differences for him coming over for MMA. So one thing I wanted to ask you is like, what prompted the move for you to bare knuckle? And with you coming from an MMA background like that, what were some of the biggest hangups you had? And does the whole clinch thing help you coming from over there?
All right. So honestly, what had happened is that I went about 18 months without fighting back in like 2016. And then I got a phone call from an old manager, hit me up about a short notice fight out in Russia, but it was really good money, so I jumped on it, fighting Sergey Kharitonov. So if you know MMA, you know who fucking Sergey Kharitonov is. So I went out there, like off the couch, 5 week training camp, and went out there and I went all 3 rounds. So I was like, all right, I still got it. I'm gonna keep at this. And then for whatever reason, I couldn't get any small regional shows because I had already been cut by Bellator at this time. I couldn't get any love from any of the regional shows in California. And then I was sitting around, and then my old coach, Eric Del Fio from Alliance, hit me up randomly. He's like, hey, man, you wouldn't be interested in doing this bare knuckle stuff, would you? I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. And then when they told me that I got to fight Tony Lopez, I was like, oh, sign me up. I hate that motherfucker.
You guys have
we're cool now. You fight somebody 4 times, I think you're going to be all right. You'll get it all out.
You got to have some kind of respect after you beat the shit out of each other 4 times.
That's what I was wondering. I was looking back at your record and stuff because, as Kyle had noted, I've been following you since the UFC days and all that. But I was looking back at, doing the deep dive, my little bit of research and stuff before the show. I did not realize y'all fuckers fought 4 times. That's a lot of fucking matches between those.
You want to know what's funny? Is like so Britt was going through her shit with fucking Misfit and whatever, and like I was like, I would like to sit here and try to tell you from a place of maturity, like, all right, let it go, but I'm that petty. I will wait 10 years to fight a motherfucker, and I waited almost 10 years, 2009 to 2018, to finally fucking get that win over Tony Lopez. So
all about the timing, dude.
Yeah.
About the timing.
So it's like, hey, babe, I get it, man. Fuck her. Fuck that bitch.
Hey, I can
great.
Hey, man,
dude. So many times around here, man. Us being from the Detroit area, like I've seen him fight so many times for King of the Cage and all that stuff too. Like, holy shit! Like, I'm not surprised.
Believe me, but even the funny thing is that me and Tony Lopez, we fought. So what had happened was we fought one time, and back then I was making horrible decisions. I was fucking partying, like fucking doing blow, all kinds of bad stuff. And like I got a call from a manager. I just fought. He's like, "You still got gas in the tank?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I got this shit, no problem." And I'm literally like crack open beers and I go and fight Tony Lopez like 5 days later. The first time he snaps my arm in a standing Kimura. I was like, fuck, well, that's what I get. God punished me. And then he started talking shit on MySpace. So that tells you how long ago this was.
Top 8, bro.
Yeah. And so then after that, I was like, fuck that. I went on a samurai mission. I was like, I'm going to get my honor back. And I went out on a fucking win streak. I got 5 first-round knockouts. And finally, I got a chance to fight him for the King of the Cage heavyweight title. And then we went all 5 rounds, man. 5-minute rounds with that motherfucker. And then they jacked me on a decision. I was like, whatever, man. I'm over it. Whatever. And then, like, the next fight, coincidentally, I beat up Houston Alexander. And then, boom, I was in the UFC. And then here we are today. So, like I said, like, the whole time I'm in the UFC, I'm in Bellator, traveling the world and everything. I still kept my eye on that cocksucker and fucking watching all this King of the Cage stuff. Like, fuck that guy. And so finally, when I had the opportunity to fight him in 2018, I was like, yes. I was like, he can't.
Finally, I'm vindicated.
He can't kick me those long ass praying mantis legs. He can't fucking hug me or do any weird shit. Like, oh, I got this guy. It was great.
It was like the reverse of what happened over this last weekend with the Israel Adesanya Alex Pohea fight, where Alex had beat him twice. And to your point, you were trying to get back that win.
Yeah.
And well, unfortunately, in Izzy's instance, he wasn't able to get it done this weekend. Were you able to check out that fight?
That fight was so wild, though. Oh my god,
dude! If that would have went all 5 rounds, Izzy wins that fight 10 times out of 10 times.
Bad.
Yeah, definitely.
Unfortunate.
That's crazy.
It's like one of those things. It's like, man, when somebody has your number, they have your number. It's no matter how it crumbles, some guys got your number.
And for it to play out,
I wouldn't want that fight back, but like I already heard Dana say after the fight, like he says that they're talking about people already were asking, are you going to run that back? Is it going to be a rematch? If you're Izzy, do you want that immediate rematch, or would you rather fight somebody first?
I mean, I think Izzy definitely does. He does. He's already said that. Whether it's for the title or not, that's what he wants his next fight to be.
I like it.
Yeah, and
I but the thing is, like, how funny. Me personally, like, I was dying. Like, when Izzy was wrestling him and kept wrist controlling him, I'm like, oh my god, peel the wrist, peel the hand off your wrist.
Right.
It was like day one wrestling. Like, Izzy was just controlling the wrist and jamming him up, controlling the wrist and jamming him up.
I never expected to see that from him at all, dude. It was smart,
awesome, man. That was great.
I'm wondering if they are going to run it back immediately, though, because, I mean, Joey, you would know. is it easier to come back and fight, get a guy back, get that win back after another win, or do you want an immediate rematch after a loss? I mean, it's got to mess with your mental a little bit, you'd say.
Especially,
I don't know. It's like,
especially given the circumstance on that
he's
one.
like saying all the right stuff and everything, like the way he's doing his interview, painting the picture. But I'm sorry, dude. Like, somebody puts your lights out 2 times, like, you might not want that smoke.
Yeah. Maybe let him fight somebody else first.
But like I said, I mean, yeah, man, all of us fighters are definitely crazy, and maybe he's a special type of crazy that he definitely does want that fight. I'm not saying that he wouldn't, but from the outside looking in, I was like, oh man,
I wouldn't doubt it. Guys are warriors,
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it.
For it to be the whole story of the rematch, he got the fast track in the UFC, and that's the only reason why he got this title fight, and yada yada. And then for him to go in there and, to your point, kind of,
I know, and I'll tell you what,
have his card.
If Khamzat Chimaev gets his hands on him, oh my god,
he's already
rip his arm off.
Yeah, and you could see it.
Like, let me smash him.
Yeah.
He already's tagging Dana. Let me smash him, bro.
That's if they don't.
If
they don't end up running that immediate rematch back, I know Robert Whitaker and Marvin Vettori got to be itching.
Oh shit, Robert Whitaker's like, this is the best thing in the world could ever happen for him, dude. Like, I mean, I love Robert Whitaker, but he's got to be thinking that to some degree, because like you just said, I mean, Izzy had Whitaker's number, but consensusly, he was like the number 2 at 185. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's going to be interesting any way it goes. But that brings up another question I wanted to ask you. So it's funny. I actually introduced my friend Kat to Bare Knuckle for the first time when one of the guys that you helped coach, David Diaz, was fighting. So tell me a little bit about that, man. For being somebody that come over from MMA, we're seeing you guys pretty regular in different people's corners, whether it's David Diaz or when your wife's fighting, or I know you guys were there when Pink Tyson was fighting. I mean, tell me about that, now being a coach in Bare Knuckle, and how do you think the experience is helping guys like Diaz?
Well, I mean, so yeah, like the David Diaz story was like pretty awesome the way it happened. Like, I met him at Knucklemania, like actually watching Britain when we were just friends, and then I met him, and he's like, "Oh," I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm not going back to Cali. I live in Miami now, because I think the show was in Tampa or something like that. I forget."
Okay.
And he's like, "All right, I'll be there Monday." I was like, "Yeah, if you come, I'll help you." Just never thinking in a million years. You know how many times I get hit up on fucking social media or even in person. I want to fight. I want to do this. I want to fight. I'm like, yeah, come Monday. Let's see what's happening. Let's see what's up. And so when he actually showed up on Monday, I was like, oh fuck, all right. And then every day he showed up, I poured my all into helping him, and so he reciprocated with his amount of effort, and then we just bonded, became friends, and more like family now. At this point, and like Britt loves him. Britt, and him are like just as good as friends as him and I are good as friends. And it's like it's a really crazy relationship the way it developed, and so it's definitely unique, more so than just like a fighter or a fighter coach relationship, But on the coaching aspect, I think it's just more about like that. You can bring that level of calm, that level of experience that in this game, and like, between myself and Britt, like we literally have seen it all, So it's definitely something that we look on. We look to pass to other fighters in the future,
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be such an interesting dynamic. Was the Britain experience really your first? I mean, I'm sure you've coached in the gym in the past with some of the younger guys and stuff that come in, but to that extent, was that your first time really coaching? Was the Britain experience, I guess you could say?
Well, so like the Britain experience for the Jenny Savage fight, that kind of like no joke, like happened because we were working with this other dude at a gym that we used to go to in Miami. They were named names because they don't deserve me to stay in their gym anymore. And we were working with him, and then no joke, fucking the day of the weigh-ins, he called Britt and gave her some bullshit song and dance about how he couldn't come to the fight. So I was kind of like thrust into the head coaching job. I was like, I got this shit. I got this. So that was pretty cool. And then kind of trial by fire, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. But I've cornered people like at the highest, well, Bellator, so second highest level before, and so it was definitely unique in the fact that, like, yeah, it's a fight at a high level, but fuck, man, this is my girl. At that point, this is my fucking wife. We literally got married 2 days before that fight. So it was, she obviously went out there and fucking smashed that girl. So it was awesome. It was a great, awesome experience.
Yeah. That's got to be such a different dynamic. I couldn't even imagine having the old lady go in there and try to throw hands, man. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's unique because it's like, on one hand, I know and she knows how hard each other work. Like, we literally are there day by day, and we see the amount of work that we put into this and how serious that we take it. But it's like, it's still at the end of the day, like, that's my baby, that's my girl, that's my love. Fuck, I don't want anyone her to get hurt, and it's like, we're not out here playing chess, man. We're not playing checkers. This shit, someone's literally died playing this game, This is serious shit, and it's like, fuck, man. So it's definitely, it's got its like pros and cons, but I would rather it be me than somebody else out there walking with her.
Yeah, and I seen in that interview that we had mentioned earlier with John Morgan that you had brought up how she's kind of your biggest critic on a lot of stuff, trying to get you to work on mostly your defense and stuff. You had mentioned to try to keep you around as long as you can, is the way you worded it. And I like the way that you had phrased that, because you guys, I'm sure, both have to do that for each other. Make sure that you guys, of course, circumstances be what they are. You got to give everything you can to try to get the win, of course. But I'm sure you guys both have a different mentality of wanting to protect each other, I guess, than just the typical coach role, I guess you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with her, like, she's has like an attention to detail unlike anybody I've ever seen. I've trained with some bad dudes and a couple of really good females over the years in the MMA realm at Alliance MMA. So I've seen people's work ethic and attention, and she is like pale, like people pale in comparison to her. Like, she's like obsessed, which is like, well, duh, she's a world champion. Like, you don't get to be a world champion at something without being obsessed. But then it's like, when I think about it, like, wow, well, she also has a master's degree, and she got it with a fucking 4.0. So this person's not a normal person. She's not a normal. I was like, you're not normal, babe. So, but it's like she takes that diligent approach to fighting, and so it's like, fuck. Whereas me, like, in the past, I'm just like, fuck, I'm gonna hit you more times than you hit me, motherfucker. Let's go.
Hey, I can respect it.
Right. No, this is the guy that fought the best of the world, like Rampage Jackson, Pat Barry, Stipe Miocic. Like, imagine your mentality going to, I'm just gonna hit the fuck out of this guy. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, like Pat Barry. Pat Barry fight was like, if he kicks me in the leg, I'm gonna punch him in the face 5 times. That was my plan.
It takes a different warrior for that kind of shit. So props to you, sir.
Yeah. So, so it's like, without like changing who I am and changing my spirit, but just like trying to be a little more fucking cerebral with the approach. And like, hey, like, you don't gotta stand there. You don't have to sit there. And if I hit you 4 times, I don't have to sit there and wait for you to hit me back. Like, move.
Yeah, like, move, motherfucker. Get in, get out.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of there. You already hit him. Get out of the way. It's funny, but it's like, so it's been really cool.
And that's what's so interesting with Bare Knuckle as a whole, because I mean, that's one thing I've noticed in watching so much of it. I mean, we've had, like we said, your wife's been on there. We had Josh Burns, who's been on there. You've had a whole bunch of other people that have fought with BKFC and BYB. And the biggest thing you notice is the people who are slick with head movement, footwork, can get in and get out, are able to be quick when they're in there and shooting their shots, and not the ones that are in there brawling all the time. Those are the ones that are getting these quick highlight reel knockouts because they're able to get in and get out without getting caught. Because like you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, the craziest thing with bare knuckle is it's not like with the small gloves or even with boxing gloves. Dude, it only takes one shot and you could be split open from one end of your face to the other, and then that changes the whole fight. And now when you add the clinch element to it, I mean, I think that's what makes bare knuckle such an interesting thing. With that being said, as you go into this fight with Houston, you mentioned when we were talking about the stuff with Tony, how your careers kind of had that ebb and flow of how things have come back full circle. With you guys getting to fight in bare knuckle now after your first fight in MMA, do you think the rule set and all that kind of makes this a more favorable fight for you? Or do you think it's like you just said, and you're just going to try to be cerebral and show him a different Joey than what he fought before?
Well, the funny thing is like, I'll freely admit it right now, back then, what was it, 12 years ago? Like, I wasn't going to try to trade punches with Houston Alexander. I'll take this motherfucker down. And that's exactly what I did. I went out there, threw a couple jabs, got him against the fence, took his ass down, beat him up. Second round, did it again, and then finished him. So I make no qualms about it. I wasn't trying to stand on my feet. If I were to fight him now in an MMA fight, I think I would fucking sit there and trade with him. But back then, I was like, fuck this guy. This guy's knocking everybody out in the UFC. I'm taking his ass down. But that being said, I definitely am not the same striker I was when I was 27 years old. I've gotten pretty good at it. I think so. And, a lot of it has been due to the fact that I've only been doing boxing since 2018, and so that's what's the difference is. Like, I've just been doing boxing for the last 4 years. So, I think I'm very confident in my skill set. And I know that wherever the fight is, if it's on long range or up close and personal in the clinch, I'm just going to dominate. That's my game plan. Domination. No matter where the fucking fight is, beat them up. Beat them up everywhere. Simple.
See, I want to peel back to how you had brought up the whole old coach. Do you want to do the bare knuckle thing? I want to go spin back to that. Did you ever expect that would have ended up being the opportunity that it's kind of led itself to be, where you've now held their belt and been the champ, and now you've been with this organization that's now flourishing in the combat sphere? It seems like they've really gained their own legs. They have a solid foundation underneath them, where 3 years ago, who would have guessed, or 4 years ago, or however the actual time has been, who would have guessed that this would have been the route that it's, bare knuckles on such a rise,
Well, I mean, so funny thing is that, like, back then I was actually toying with the idea of going over to England to BYB to do a bare knuckle fight. I've always been a fan of bare knuckle fighting. I used to love watching all the Traveler videos and the Joyce fan, Big Joe Joyce and fucking Gypsy Boy James McCrory and all those badass guys in England. So I was up for it. I had no idea that it would lead me on the ride that I've been on, man. And like ultimately, like, dude, I fucking met my wife. That's so crazy, man. That was the biggest prize of them all. Like, because think about it, like, she's a professional boxer from Virginia, and I was a MMA fighter from fucking Cali. We would have never crossed paths, but we ended up at BKFC sitting in VIP seats one day, and fucking they put our seats together, and that's how we met. So ultimately, like, this has been a wild ass ride, and like, I'm very happy that I took that first fight, because it's all winning the belt 3 times and scoring Britton Hart to now be Britton Hart Beltran. It's been a pretty good deal for me.
Got a pretty good ride, it sounds like.
I like it. Like
You
it.
can't be mad at that. Well, dude, before we wrap things up, we got to take things a little bit away from the fighting for a second. So we got to ask you, just like we ask every other fighter that comes on here, our show also dabbles in the world of pro wrestling, as you can see the big gold belt behind me. So were you a wrestling fan at all? If so, who are you messing with? Before you answer that question, I see you guys in the comments, and I see everybody on Twitter. Shout out to past guests of the show, Darren McCarty, for sharing the news. That's right. The cat's out of the bag. We are the proud sponsors of Ruthless Pro Wrestling coming up November 26th. And we are sponsoring John Wayne Murdoch and the past guest of the show, Atticus Kogar. So make sure you're tuned in this Thursday. I heard the Duke might be rolling through. But with that being said, did you ever dabble in the world of pro wrestling?
Oh, fuck. Funny thing is that's how this whole dream reel started. My uncle took me to watch WWF. And when I was 5 years old, I saw Andre the Giant versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And that's when the dream was ignited. I was like, I want to do this. Like, because I thought it was real fighting back then. I was like, I want to fight in front of in an arena in front of people. And that's honestly where the dream started. And then, fast forward, the MMA thing just kind of took off and happened. And I was in the right place at the right time. But yeah, so that being said, oh yeah, man. My close group of friends in high school, like we call each other the Wolf Pack, Wolf Pack for life, and oh yeah, I love it. And even now, like I kind of got away for a few years, but now like I love what Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn and the Usos are doing. Like, that shit is comedy, man. That's hilarious.
Yo, what'd you think about Logan Paul in there, bro?
Oh, Logan Paul did phenomenal.
I know, did he though? That's what's crazy. I was there at his debut match at WrestleMania in Texas this year, and I literally was saying, I don't know how the hell this is about to look. And man, I can't not give the guy credit. Like, I mean, the same thing with Jake.
Everybody's minds, dude.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that they were able to capitalize that Jake had just had the fight with Anderson the week before, and then to have Jake come out in Saudi to come help him, I'm like, dude, they must be listening, because holy shit, that was money.
Hey, those guys are claiming they're going to be champions in WWE, man. So we better keep an eye out for that shit.
Hey, man,
I wouldn't
Triple
doubt
H
it,
said
man.
himself.
Look, all I'm saying is everything they said they were going to do so far, they've done. So
yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. They're having they're killing it.
And they're laughing their ass to the bank. So I cannot hate on Logan or Jake in that sphere. But with that being said, since you watched wrestling back in the day, what are your thoughts on some of the crossovers we've seen? Like Matt Riddle, who's doing his thing. You've got Ronda Rousey, who's at the top of the game now in WWE. What are your thoughts on your MMA cohorts who have gone over to wrestling?
Oh, I think both those guys both Matt Riddle and Ronda Rousey are shining lights of what could possibly do, like if you go over there, because they're killing it. Matt Riddle for sure. Like, I love his character, the fucking stoner bro. Like, bro,
and he's got him hitting bong drums. Yeah, hit my bong, bro.
He's like, you gotta tap pass, bro. Tap tap.
Dude, it's fucking hilarious.
Right, yeah. So I remember when Ronda first showed up too, I was watching that. I watched that WrestleMania too for sure. Like, yeah. So yeah, they're doing great. They're fucking killing it.
That's one thing you always love to see for these MMA fighters is a potential path after fighting, right? We all know that this game is, like you had mentioned earlier, it's nothing to play with, right? And when you want to make your move out that door, it's nice to see that there's definitely other doors still open, right? You have a ton of opportunities given the chance,
Heck yeah. For sure.
Okay, so one other thing I got to ask you, it's been a theme with Thanksgiving coming up and all those things. And before I get out of here, we hinted at it on Twitter. We are going to be coming up with a men's and women's Survivor Series team next week on the show. That's going to be one of the episodes, but it's not going to be your normal Survivor Series team. You have to have one MMA fighter. You got to have one indie wrestler. You got to have one from WWE. You got to have one from AEW to comprise your team. So we're going to come up with our teams. Corey's going to come up with one. J-Bone's going to come up with one. I'll come up with one, and we'll give you guys your picks. that being said, since it's a Thanksgiving time of year, man, what's the biggest thing you're looking forward to eating once you get out of this fight?
Oh man.
We've heard stuffing about 3 times already so far, so let's see if you got a different one.
All day stuffing, baby.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, man. I'm a big fan of like stuffing, mac and cheese if it's done right. Yeah, sweet potato pie. Yeah.
Casserole.
Oh yeah.
Dude, all I know is I'm looking forward to smashing. We'll just see how much my Crohn's will allow to happen.
We're all gonna come back next week and need bigger cameras because we're all gonna be all chunked up from eating all week, man.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, it's all good. I'm gonna be eating apple pie. I'll be eating some of the cheesecake. I'll be eating some of the turkey. We'll be good, bro. We'll be good, bro. Cheesecake's gonna be where it's at. Well, we got a couple questions for you as well, too, man. Hannah told us to ask you. She wanted to know what keeps you motivated and keeps you working and sticking to your routine. We already kind of went over that one. I just asked that. What's the first thing you're gonna eat? Whatever it is, you got to share with Britain. Damn. Well, Hannah, I already covered your questions for you. I covered them for you even without knowing it. I didn't even look at them. So your questions got answered. Thanks for watching. But damn.
Yeah, Hannah. Shout out to Hannah.
She's you guys' biggest fan, bro. Seriously. Like, damn, every time Britain comes through, you've come through, man. She's all over it. Like, she should be like your promoter.
She's a friend now. She's past fan status. She's our friend, so she's a good one. She's a good one.
Oh
yeah. Shout out from the Great White North, right over the border. Well, all right. The last question I'm going to get you out of here on before we get your last thoughts for anybody who's on the fence watching this fight. You know, like I said, we cover the pro wrestling end, and this segment usually can either be called locker room etiquette or we spin it a little different for the fighter. So on the wrestling end of things, we call it locker room etiquette, but it's not what you would think, and then not, trying to nitpick and all these things. We've gotten, what are some of your biggest pet peeves? Like bring your own squirt bottle, bring your own wrist tape, wash your balls, keep your baby mama out the locker room, wash your gear, all that kind of stuff. So on the MMA, or in this case, bare knuckle side of things, do you have any pre-fight like rituals or anything like pet peeves or anything that pisses you off fight week or anything like that?
I don't know, not really. I mean, to be honest with you, like I'm pretty like even keel, simple, and just do my thing, like I don't really trip. Like really, I got a little anxious this week, to be honest with you, but more so just because like, oh my God, I want to go over there already. But like usually I'm pretty chill the fight week. I'm just like, whatever, it's all good. I've done this a million times, let's do it again.
Another day at the office, man. Another day at the office.
Yeah.
Well, hell yeah, man. Before we let you out of here, man, any last words about your thoughts on the fight, your opponent, Houston Alexander, and why people need to check out BKFC 33?
Man, if you have not, I will definitely recommend that you go ahead and pay the $4.99. Oh my God, $4.99 for the motherfucking app. You have multiple pay-per-views every month. I mean, if you like high-level violence, which I know you do, you definitely want to tune in. Not only to my fight, but every fight BKFC puts on. You get crazy animals in there. They go out there and do their thing. As far as me and Houston, like, yeah, man, he's coming off 2 knockouts. I'm coming off 2 losses, so it's a good chance somebody's gonna get slept. And I would put my money on me doing the sleeping, not getting slept. Did I say that wrong? I don't know if I broke that.
That was like, you don't want to be doing the sleeping, you want to be putting them to sleep. Looks like Joey's been hanging out with Riddle with our sponsors, Michigan's Finest. They rolled through Toledo and he stopped through and seen the sponsor, man. Hot damn. But I said, I'm looking forward to this one, bro.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a really good fight. It's gonna be definitely a fan-friendly fight. That's for damn sure.
Hell yeah. I'm looking forward to it. You heard the man. Get the BKFC app. Joey, let them know where they can find you on all the social medias and all that good stuff.
Oh, I'm on Instagram at Joey Beltran _MMA. And I know what you're saying, Joe. You haven't fought MMA in a long time. I know, but I can't figure out how to change my name. Thank you, Instagram. And on Facebook, I'm Joey Beltran. Simple.
Hey, man, keep it simple, stupid. Hey, man, I said it earlier in the show. Make sure you're checking it out. November 26th, Ruthless Pro Wrestling. We will be in the building. We'll have to see if Atticus Kogar kills somebody this time, because the last time we were at Circle 6, shit got pretty fucking gnarly. And in the meantime and in between time, when this fight goes down, be betting some money on our guy, the Mexicutioner over here, if I can spit it out. And hey, it's tax time. Use that tax money. Hit up the homies over at G3 Payroll and Tax. Use their links. Tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you. And like I said, you need to be here Thursday. The Duke, John Wayne Murdoch, will be joining us. So until then, peace.
Yeah.